I didn't really know for a while if I was going to review these. I did mention them back in my review of the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show, so for a time I thought that might have been enough. But I guess that wouldn't be fair, so we shall move forward. As I pointed out in that aforementioned video, these were two more or less anthology specials that aired in the early 1980s, and it's pretty clear their format was the inspiration for the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show. I wouldn't be surprised if they were actually created as a test for the upcoming Saturday morning series, but I can find no official proof of this. Nonetheless, since they are both very similar in tone and format, and they premiered with enough proximity to one another, we might as well take care of them together. This is a Charlie Brown celebration, and it's an adventure Charlie Brown. We'll start with a Charlie Brown celebration, since it premiered first in May of 1982. As you probably expect, this and the next one absolutely are just taking stories straight from the comic strips, as was frequently the case for the Peanuts cartoons at the time. However, rather than meshing multiple strips together to form one 20-minute long plot, these specials are, as I said before, essentially anthologies that use the old strips to create numerous stories. A Charlie Brown celebration is definitely the more choppy of the two. While we will get some more cohesion in the stories as we go along, it does begin with just the animated versions of individual strips going back and forth with one another, though they do still try to give them all a connecting theme. Most of what we see here, especially for the first half, is centered around Charlie Brown and his friends in school, with a great deal focusing on Sally and her basically treating everything like it's the end of the world.
Sets. One-to-one matching. Equivalent sets. Non-equivalent sets. Sets of one. Sets of two. Renaming two. Subsets. Joining sets. Number sentences. Placeholders. All I want to know is how much is 2 and 2?
Not that Big Brother can be less guilty of the same.
Actually, what I meant to say is, my report would have been on Africa if, well, my intentions were, it seems that I just never, quite get around to, well, you know how it goes sometimes, and, I throw myself upon the mercy of the court!
All of this ultimately brings us to the longest story and my most favorite part of the special. Peppermint Patty decides she should start attending private school because in the Peanuts universe you can just do anything without parental consent.
I might even become one of the beautiful people. Wouldn't that be something?
I can see you now in a white blouse and a blue skirt running out to play field hockey.
Don't hassle me with your sarcasm, Chuck.
Which is how she gets accepted at the school Snoopy recommends to her, the famous Ace Obedience School.
It looks like kind of a fun place. Every student in this school seems to have a pet.
Was the Ace Obedience School all you expected?
More, Marcy, a lot more. They really stress manners and social graces. We spent the whole first day just learning how to sit.
So yeah, much of the story involves Patty taking part in every single activity at the obedience school, while clearly being oblivious to the fact that the rest of her classmates are dogs. Though for what it's worth, no one at the school seems to have the heart to tell her that she's clearly not supposed to be there. How is it that all the adults in the Peanuts universe make the South Park adults look like they should be in Mensa? So then she graduates, but when her old school doesn't buy that she's completed her education, she shows up with her attorney, who of course is Snoopy, to show her credentials, and sadly the charade must come to an end here.
Anyway, that's my diploma from the Ace Obedience School.
What? I graduated from a what?
Patty, of course, does not take this well and wants to pound the Beagle. But they end up putting their differences behind them after they both get into a literal cat fight with the cat next door. And yes, it is here that we finally discover the name of the cat next door. World War II! I'm gonna guess that was added in specifically for the cartoon, but it's a nice and hilarious touch. The next segment is all about Linus and Sally on a field trip, and Linus getting stuck on the roof of a barn trying to get away from Sally bickering with an old friend of his. So, of course, Snoopy's helicopter rescue service is needed to get him down.
Easy, easy! Wait! Don't drop me there! Don't!
My sweet baboon.
Stupid pilot!
We then get a bit with Lucy and Schroeder that does at least work a bit better than the drawn-out plot of Play It Again, Charlie Brown. Unfortunately, it shows Lucy at her worst because she gets so fed up with Schroeder only caring about his music that she throws his piano down the sewer. Because destroying your crush's favorite hobby is a surefire way to get him to want you.
I want to order another piano. This last one was thrown down the sewer. Yes, I want the same kind as before. Take your time on delivery!
The second part mostly focuses on baseball, particularly with this one set I definitely remember seeing in the comics of where Marcy and Peppermint Patty are trying to find a way to get ball caps for their whole team. It starts with Marcy constantly attempting to make caps herself, with limited success, before Patty tries some scheme to collect enough giveaway caps at a local game by trying to go in and out of the ballpark repeatedly. It goes as well as you'd expect.
Keep it, sir. I'm going home.
Marcy! But I also appreciated the caps you tried to make.
Strange that you should mention it, sir. Olay!
Yeah, the whole Snoopy turning into a bull part was original, and it definitely got a laugh from me. The final bit actually gets a bit serious, and it's one I actually think is an original created for just this special. Charlie Brown begins feeling so sick that he checks himself into the hospital, because again, in this world, kids can just do stuff like that. And everyone else starts being concerned with if he'll actually pull through. It gets to the point where even Lucy makes a vow no one could even suspect.
If you get well, I promise, I'll never pull the football away again.
Of course, Charlie does recover, so Lucy must make good on her word. Will we finally get to see Chuck kick that ball?
Ow! My finger! My hand! My arm! You missed the ball, you blockhead!
Fun fact, this is almost certainly a throwback to the original football gag, where Violet was the one who pulled the ball away and claims she did it because she was afraid Chuck would kick her in the hand.
Is there anything I could do?
Next time you go to the hospital, stay there.
It's an Adventure, Charlie Brown aired a year later in May 1983, and leans even further into the format that would eventually be used for the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show, with each segment getting its own title. The first one is titled Sack, which is all about Charlie Brown supposedly losing his mind because he starts seeing everything as a baseball, and then develops this rash on his head that makes him start wearing a paper bag over it like he's a New York Jets fan. And he proceeds to head back to summer camp to supposedly get away from baseball. The thing is, with him hanging around camp wearing that sack, the other kids actually start liking him, and even go so far as to elect him camp president. It's kind of a sad and creepy message when you think about it, so I'll try not to so much. At any rate, it all ends when Charlie finally takes the sack off and goes out to see the sunrise, hoping it won't be a baseball, and well...
Will I see the sun, or will I see a baseball? What will I see?
I don't know how much they had to pay Mad Magazine for that gag, but it was worth it. The second bit is all about Peppermint Patty and Marcy taking jobs as golf caddies, and it's kinda forgetful, until the ladies they are caddying for get into a whole cat fight on the green.
You know what worries me, sir?
This is only the fourth hole.
Look, Mrs. Nelson is climbing the tree. She's climbing the tree to get away from Mrs. Bartley. Oh, I was wrong. She climbed the tree so she can jump on her.
All right, you ladies. Stop the fight. Here are your own clubs. I quit.
See, if this had been the plot of Caddyshack 2, it might not have sucked so bad. But then comes the third segment, Kite. It starts, as one would expect, about gags where Charlie Brown keeps losing kites to the infamous kite-eating tree, but eventually Chuck gets to a point where he decides to fight back.
If you don't stop biting my kite, I'll bite you. All right, you asked for it. Didn't think I'd do it, did ya?
This leads to, I'm not kidding, Charlie Brown being pursued by the EPA over what he did to that tree, and he runs away from home over the fear of going to jail. He ends up in another neighborhood where a bunch of younger kids ask him to help coach their baseball team. And honestly, it's one of the more touching cartoons I've seen from Charlie Brown in that these kids look up to him. It actually might have been better off if Charlie Brown stayed there. But no, status quo is God and everything, as the other kids convince him to come home after the kite-eating tree got knocked down in a storm.
Are you in the escape from no Charles?
No, not really, Milo.
When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Charles.
Did everyone hear that?
Final main segment of the special is Blanket, which is all about Lucy being an uber bitch and trying to take Linus's blanket away, just like she did with Schroeder's piano in the last special. Only here, it's always Snoopy to the rescue, as he always ends up finding the blanket and returning it. I really hope that's the last I'll ever have to talk about this subject ever again. Overall, though, I have to say a Charlie Brown Celebration and It's an Adventure Charlie Brown are among the better specials I've seen in a long time. They were made to much better fit the story structure that Charles Schulz was clearly best at working with. The format gives most, if not every member of the Peanuts crew their time to shine in a way where none of them is able to wear out their welcome. It does come off as a comic strip collection book in animated form, and that really is exactly what it needed to be. And it definitely caught on, as not only did it lead to the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show, but to 2 more anthology specials in the 80s that were actually adapted from earlier stage productions. We'll definitely get to those soon, but for now, next month we are definitely getting into the last 2 specials that can be summed up with "let's just get this over with."